I'm gonna go with here. Mrs. Stewart, do you have your phone with you? I told Kate to, yeah. You can go down.
Okay, you guys.
Yeah, leave these open. That's good. Can you just leave this one open, bud? Thank you. Hey, Dylan. Guys, will you leave some of these open? It's fine.
Your attendance on paper.
Why do you record this?
Will you guys go down like just two seats? Sorry. Bobby. Bobby.
Hello? How's it going? So my name is Tom Liebhardt, Mr. Liebs, Coach Liebs to some of you. I'm Trey's dad, back in the corner. So my job that I'm going to talk to you guys a little about in my journey, I'm in marketing. How many of you know what marketing is? A lot of you. You know what's crazy about that? Is if you'd asked 7th grade me if I knew what marketing was, nobody in my class would have known. That's how new marketing is, and nowadays everybody knows. When I was trying to think of what are some things that you could identify with marketing, do you guys know what brands are? Do you know what a brand is? Yeah? A lot of people don't really think about how those brands get to be what they are. They just think it's that. And I remember talking to a class one time in this school and talking about that middle logo. And I said, without marketing, that's just an X. And one of the kids in the crowd said, that's a U and an A, Mr. Liebhardt. And I said, I know. But if you just looked at that without any marketing, without anybody telling you a story about what that brand meant, it's just an X. So what marketing does is it takes a lot of different things and a lot of experiences that you have with a product or a service, and it makes it mean something to you. And that's what I do for a living. I've been doing that for a long time, and I'm going to tell you about that. But what's important is all of those things matter. The other question I get a lot is, in marketing, do you feel like you can make people buy anything you want? And the answer is no. You have to be interested in it. I work for a paint company that I'm going to tell you about. How many of you are interested in buying paint today? Okay, wow, all right. Awesome, I wasn't expecting that. Then you guys are all excused, go and buy some paint at the store today. No, I'm just kidding. So what is it that I do? Well, I work at Sherwin-Williams, and I'm responsible for making sure our marketing to all our audiences is important and relevant for them. I've been doing it for 24 years, which is like totally crazy. Like I can't even believe that. And I've worked with a lot of different brands, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do marketing. There's general marketing, which is how you work in for a corporation. There's advertising when you work for agencies. I used to work for a place where we used to ride scooters around and we had dogs running around, and that was an advertising agency where you get to do a little bit more with design and writing. It was a lot of fun. I love marketing because every day is different. This week, every day that I have had has been different than any other day. I spent 2 days in paint stores in Washington, D.C., making sure that all of our marketing was right. I had a big meeting yesterday, and today I have my favorite day. I get to come here and talk to you guys about the career. But what's most importantly, and this is one thing no matter what you're interested in your life, the thing I like most about marketing is that I am encouraged to think differently. Every day is different, every project's different, so I get to be different every day. So just a little bit about Sherwin-Williams, because they let me today come here and talk to you guys. We're 152 years old, and we've been in Cleveland for 152 years. In fact, the center where we do all of our product testing and all of our new product development, including a product we launched that kills bacteria, it's a paint that kills bacteria, was all done on the spot where our founders, Henry Sherwin and Edward Williams, founded the company 152 years ago. So that's pretty cool. We sold $15 billion of paint last year around the world. It's a lot of paint, right? We make the best paint in America. We have 4,268 stores. We painted the White House, the Hollywood sign, the Golden Gate Bridge, Air Force One, and Trey Liephardt's house. I know, that's the most impressive one. So what I wanted to show you, I'm going to show you 2 commercials that we've made in the last couple of years. And so here's the deal with advertising. It's not just a little movie that you want to make. Advertising is trying to tell a story about a company or a brand or a product to be relevant to you. So it taps into like the emotions that you might have about something. We try to tell a very quick story to make you think favorably about our brand. So when these two things are finished, I'm going to ask you guys a couple quick questions about what you think they're about. So this is the most recent one, and then I'll play the other one right after. Wait. Yeah, go ahead, clap. I'll take that. What do you think that's about? Yeah. Paint colors. Different adventures you can have with all the paint colors. We got a marketing person coming. What else? Anything else?
Color is everywhere.
Color is everywhere, emphatically. I like that. But also, you can, the place to get all that stuff, all of that is right, by the way. But the place to get all of it is at Sherwin-Williams, too. That's why we end the way we do. But what's important about that is that we had to figure out that people freak out a little bit when it comes to picking a color out for their house. Which is why the #1 color that we sell is beige, which is not that exciting. But the process of it has to be easy. And if you come to one of our stores, we make it easy for you, and we let you go on that adventure of color that we're talking about. So that's just a little bit about how we do what we do. These are some of the other brands that I've worked on, and you probably don't know some of them. I worked with Moen for 7 years, where I got to work on a cool project I'll talk about in a minute. But I've also worked, how many of you use 5-star notebooks or Trapper Keepers or Mead? So that was a lot of fun. I worked in an advertising agency marketing to teenagers about notebooks. So you pretty much get to do whatever you want when you're doing that. So that was kind of fun. And the least favorite job that I've had is I worked at the Cleveland Indians. Believe it or not. Huge Indians fan. I like the Cubs too, by the way. I think most of you know that. But when I worked with the Indians, I thought that was going to be the most exciting thing ever. I love baseball, I coached baseball, I played baseball in college. It actually wasn't that much fun. So sometimes what you learn is the things you think are going to be cool aren't that cool. And I never would have guessed that marketing paint would be more fun than marketing baseball. And then I worked for Sherwin-Williams too, if I haven't mentioned that. So what is it? What is life in marketing? The cool thing about marketing is that it brings all kinds of different people. It's not one kind of person that tends to do it. So you can come from many different kinds of educations. You just have to be creative, and you got to be able to think. You're going to hear me say the word creativity a lot today. You have to like variety because you never know what's going to happen. And you have to deal with all kinds of different people, so you have to be good at dealing with people. And there's degrees in marketing, which is a business degree, communications, advertising, graphic arts, and web design. English, finance, and sociology are all very common in the world that I work in. So education is really important for this. And I have a business degree from the University of Dayton, where I'm a very proud Dayton Flyer, and I'm also super proud that my oldest daughter, who was in one of these sessions a long time ago, is now a Dayton Flyer as a freshman, so I always got to give a little shout out to UD, best school in Ohio. You guys should all go there. Most large universities offer this major, though. In Ohio, Dayton, Ohio State, OU, Cincinnati, John Carroll, Miami, and Bowling Green all have good marketing programs. And out of state, it's very common now to find marketing as a major. And I like marketing because it is the perfect blend of art, science, and creativity. So you have to take a lot of facts and then you have to figure out a unique way how to solve a problem. And that's really what makes me, that's what makes me happy and get going. And I like to be creative and think of things other people haven't thought of. A lot of times the problems that come to us are problems that somebody else hasn't considered or they think isn't based on some kind of fact. And what we do is we do a lot of research to find out facts and then have to come up with a solution that nobody else has ever thought of before. And to me, that's really cool. So if you think that way, marketing might be something that you'd be interested in someday. The skills you have to use are creativity, writing. Writing is very important. And this is one of the things I worry about with all the texting and everything that happens today. And it's just a different kind of writing, but you have to really think as you get older, no matter what business or what job you have, how you write and communicate is very important. It doesn't matter if it's a text message, but you just have to be able to take a thought and put it in a word that's written, and this is becoming more and more important today. So there's all kinds of different ways to do that, but you got to really focus on that. Digital, and anybody who likes to do any kind of artwork, it's really important in what I do. And then you have to have analytic skills, so like statistics and math. If you're really good in math, you probably sitting around, like I hope there's no math teachers in here, you're sitting around going like, oh, math, I'm never gonna use math, I don't wanna do that. I said that once. I use math like 5 hours a day, and I'm in marketing, so guess what? You're gonna use math all the time. Yeah, give it up for math. All right, this is an interactive portion of the day. I want you to raise your hand and don't worry about what anybody thinks, because that's the whole point of this. So do you like these are things that you might, if you raise your hand for a couple of these, you might be interested in marketing. Do you like to figure out what makes people do what they do? So be honest, like if you're sitting around watching a YouTube video and you're like, what was he thinking? That's figuring out what somebody wants to do, right? And I know there should be a lot more, okay. Do you like to create things? Do you like to use words or pictures to create things? I'm terrible at pictures, by the way. I'm really good with words. How many of you like design and how things look? By the way, that's also something that when I was in your age, we wouldn't raise our hand for, because I think we know a lot more about that today. Do you think you're weird and see things that other people don't see? I'm totally weird. Super, super weird. That's important, because that's where some of that creativity comes from. You sit around and you think, I'm so different, like nobody sees it like me. But that's what makes you unique and special. That's what you guys are still working on, trying to figure out. Like for me, the fact that I see things that other people don't see and that I used to think I was weird about are what make me really good at my job now. Are you brave enough to share an idea that you think somebody might laugh at? I do it every day. Do you always think there might be a better way to do something? All right? I see a lot of marketing people in here. Can you make people rally around you and believe in you? Hey, every hand in this room should be up right now, because you guys all have that. You just haven't figured it out yet. But if you're passionate enough about something and you have enough creativity, every single person in this room has the power to do that. You just got to be real with yourself and figure out how to do it. Have you ever started a shower with a remote control? Oh, wait a minute, I have. Yeah, there's a few of us out there now. I have the first remote control shower in the world in my house. Because when I worked at Moment, I had a chance to work on a team that invented a remote control digital shower. And when they were looking for a place to put it, I'm like, put it in my house. And so we still have a remote control shower right now. How many of you believe in the power of an idea? It's the most powerful force on earth, if you ask me. Any good idea can go a long way. All of you who raise your hands, and there's a lot of hands being raised, you might like marketing for a career. So in my job to get there, I had to go to college, I had to be creative, I have to keep learning every day, I have to work hard. I have to sell stuff. I have to never be afraid to be wrong. And I also got to work hard. Did I mention that?
Yes.
So how many of you like play sports or in music or artists or do something, some kind of activity? You're into scouts or something like that? So I was a long time, I've coached a lot of kids in this room actually. And if they're probably going to shudder when I say this, but the work hard part is really important. If you're working on playing an instrument or you're working on a sport, the things that you learn in that are most important aren't whether you're going to be a college athlete or get a scholarship to play the trumpet someday. It's about how hard you work and the lessons that you learn from that. So the kids that I coach would probably hear me say, if you cheat the drill, you're just cheating yourself and your team. I'm looking at Faith right now. He's like, oh man, I hate it when Coach said that. But that's why this is so important, because someday that matters no matter what your career is. So the coolest things that I've done at work, I've made 40 television commercials, and I didn't do them all myself, by the way. I've helped design web pages and magazine ads. I helped run a college basketball tournament. And the star player in that one year was a gentleman named Dwayne Wade, who, was going to be a lot cooler 2 days ago when I told that story, but he doesn't play here anymore. I've hired break dancers. I got to meet an Academy Award-winning director, professional athletes, and legislators. I got to watch a football game with the owners of the Kansas City Chiefs and the Cleveland Indians. I helped invent that digital shower that starts with a remote control. So the point is not that any of that is like cool or not, but when I was sitting around trying to figure out what I was going to do for my career and I'm looking for something that has a lot of variety, I never had any idea that any of that stuff would happen, and none of that stuff happened necessarily because of me, but because of the jobs that I had. So I'm going to tell you a little story about marketing, and it starts with little me. So little me, I was one of 3 boys growing up. We moved around. I went to 5 schools, so pretty much grew up in Richmond, Virginia, and Springfield, Ohio. And I played any sport I could find. I watched sports. I loved music. I played outside all the time. I had to go to school too. Played video games. I did all that stuff. But the difference was I had a creative mind. I just didn't know that I did. I had a very vivid imagination. I didn't know that I was creative. No one knew how to explain that to me. And again, I think things are a little different right now. So I was once asked how I chose marketing, and I often say I think marketing chose me. Because I was exactly the age of the kids in this room. I was a 7th grader. It was 1984. In 1984, how many of you have heard of the novel 1984? I don't know if anyone's even heard of that anymore. So when I was growing up, it was like this freaky thing that was going to happen. It was 1984 is going to be the craziest time ever. Everybody's going to be clones. Nobody's going to be an individual. It was based on a book that was written where this was what the future looked like. It was written, I think, in the 40s or 50s about what 1984 is going to look like. You know what 1984 looked like? It looked a lot like this, just a little different. But the point was, it was really scary. So I also mentioned that I like sports. So on Super Bowl Sunday in 1984, the most amazing thing happened to me that I didn't even know was going to happen. A commercial play, Super Bowl commercials are known to be pretty sweet, right? They weren't that good this year, by the way, my own personal editorial. However, this is what technology looked like. You see that sweet video game I was playing right there? I know, you guys are jealous, right? That's just like Call of Duty, but not just a bunch of pixelated dots. Cell phone, a computer. The computer industry was about to be revolutionized because there was a company named Apple Computer that was this upstart, innovative company. And they had to figure out, their marketing team had to figure out the way to get the most impact that they could for an invention that they had just made for a new product that they were going to launch. And that new product was called the Macintosh. And they played an advertisement one time during the Super Bowl. It's the only time it ever aired on television. And it blew my mind because it was super weird. I couldn't figure out what was going on. And from that day forward, I became a fan of Apple. So I knew something worked. I just didn't know at that point what it was going to be. So I'd like to show you that commercial right now.
1984, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh. And you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984.
I mean, that's weird, right? And it blew my mind. And guess what? Mac took off. And I didn't realize it at the time, but I was paying attention to that in a way that I didn't understand. Yes? What about IBM? IBM, that's actually part of the story I'm getting ready to tell. So Macintosh, the cool part about Macintosh was the operating system that they had. And it was way better than anything that was out in the marketplace. And about right around that time, there was a little company that had started called Microsoft that was a little bit older that was making a lot of hardware. And they basically mimicked the operating software from a Macintosh, it's a little bit different, and created Windows. And that kind of leveled the playing field a little bit. So IBM was the big computer company, and Macintosh was trying to get in there. And so Mac started to take off. Windows kind of copied the idea, and it made the Mac just like a normal computer. So what happened after that, how many of you know who Steve Jobs is? Yeah. So Steve Jobs is like my favorite innovator of all time, because he was also a marketing genius. And by the way, he never would have told you he was a marketing person, but he totally was. So he tried all these crazy new ideas, and they weren't working. So he was fired from Apple, which I don't think a lot of people realize. He was fired from Apple, and as he was fired and their new ideas were being tested, Apple was going in the tanks. Microsoft and IBM were killing them. Hewlett-Packard came out. Macintosh wasn't all that anymore. And they had to figure out something else to do. So what they did is they went back and brought Steve Jobs back. Because what they sacrificed in that process was creativity, of thinking about how people like to think about design and hardware and all this stuff. And it's not just about, and this is beyond marketing, you guys. This is anything that you do. Tapping into your creative spirit helps you to become something better than every other company, than whatever it is. If you think about a good football coach, usually their creativity is what separates them from those that aren't. Same in business. It's the same in music. You know, you like certain musicians because you like their creativity that they show more than others. It's very important. Steve Jobs brought that back. And what was relevant about that for me is this is now I'm in marketing, I'm in advertising, I know that I love Apple, and he comes back. And then I'm going to now show you the commercial that helped put Apple back on the map, because I still think it is the best commercial of all time. And the other part I think about it is I want you to pay attention to the message of this commercial, because it is a message I think all you need to think about as you grow up and go on this journey you're on.
Here's to the crazy ones. The misfits. The rebels. The troublemakers. The round pegs in the square holes. The ones who see things differently. They're not common rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. But the only thing you can't do is ignore them. Because they change things. They push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
So you'll notice there's two words that are used a lot in that ad. There's a little bit of creativity, but there's a lot of crazy, 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 crazy. It's easy to think because you won't, because you're not thinking just like everybody else, that you're crazy, but you're actually the one who's right. And so my challenge to you, I'm going to open it up for questions after this, but my challenge to you is to embrace your creativity and who you are and take that somewhere special, because inside each and every one of you, you have something that's different and that matters. And so I just want you to feel that and go from there, because if I didn't know this when I was growing up and I just kind of did it, but all of you have the power to do that. What kind of questions do you guys have for me? Yes?
The Macintosh, is that what
Yeah, the question is because it was called Macintosh, is that why it's called the Mac now, the MacBook? Yes. They took Macintosh and shortened that down to Mac. What council did I play on? I don't know if that, is that a video game thing? Oh, what video games I played as a kid? Sorry. I'm old, man. I don't have all that young mind. I played actually Intellivision, Atari, ColecoVision, and Sega. And then when PlayStation came out, it was like a whole different world. Yes. What a good question. All right, so if I could do one other thing other than marketing, what would I do? I'd be a teacher. I love to teach.
Did McDonald's steal the Big Mac from Macintosh?
No, McDonald's did not steal the Big Mac from Macintosh. But what we don't know is did Apple steal the Macintosh from the Big Mac? Do I have a dog? I do have a dog, and his name is Wrigley, after Wrigley Field where the Chicago Cubs play. What was my favorite marketing project that I've ever worked on? It was probably that remote control shower, because getting to create that when there was no boundaries was a lot of fun. It was very frustrating sometimes, but it was a lot of fun. Kyle.
How many times do you work out of state?
How many times do I work out of state? Good question. I have to travel a lot for my job. So I would say that I work out of state probably about 30% of the work time that it works. I do travel in Ohio too. Because we have stores, I have to go visit our stores and make sure they look right and do all that stuff. Yes?
Is Sherwin-Williams actually the largest paint company?
Is Sherwin-Williams actually the largest paint company? We are the largest paint company in the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you know if you're creative?
How do you know if you're creative? First of all, I have a pretty strong feeling that you are creative. And secondly, everybody is seriously creative. It's just a matter of how you figure out how to use it. And don't be afraid to use it.
My dad,
What's that?
my dad worked for a company, well he still does, it's called Certified Painting. And he used to be the second best painter in Ohio.
So his dad used to work for CertaPro Painters. That's our second largest customer in the country, and I just was at the CertaPro conference 2 weeks ago. That's one of those out-of-state trips I went to. Yay. I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you keep your products original or do you modernize?
Good question. Do we keep our products original or do we modernize them? We actually modernize them all the time. We have a lot of new technologies. People just think of paint on a wall, but I mean, I mentioned earlier real quickly, we have a paint that kills bacteria when it's painted on the wall, so we're always looking to modernize them.
How do you make paint?
How do you make paint?
How do you get like different colors and everything?
How do you get different colors? Good question. We make paint, there's a lot of different chemicals that go into paint that mix together to create like what's called a durable paint. And then we have certain pigments that we use in our stores that can make any color you want. We have over 1,500 kinds of colors that we can make for you. And then by the way, if there's one that we don't happen to have and you bring it in, we have a laser technology in our store that will help us figure out what that paint is and make it just like you like it.
How many commercials do you have?
How what?
How many commercials do you have?
We probably run about 8 different kinds of commercials, and we run it all year. So we have some sale advertising, then we have the brand ads we mentioned there. Yeah. If I could create one thing, what would it be? World peace. That'd be awesome. Good question. Well, I don't know the answer to that, but I know an answer. So how many customers do we get each day? We have over 5 million customers a year.
Holy.
And by the way, a lot of those are painting contractors who paint repeatedly too. My favorite commercial I've made, there's an ad that I made for Kelly Tires which is just about how, all these car ads and tire ads are all about racing down the road, and it's about being parked in a parking lot all day because that's really how most cars are used.
What's your favorite color?
My favorite color? Halcyon green. But blue's my favorite color, but halcyon green's my favorite paint color.
Was Sherwin-Williams your first marketing choice?
It was when I went there. Actually, if I could have had any dream job back in the day, it was working for Nike. That's what I still kind of would like to do that someday. But they don't really do that here.
How many years did you have to go to college for marketing?
I went to college, okay, so I'm a slow learner, so it took me 4.5 years, but it takes most people 4 years.
Oh.
Where was my favorite place to do the marketing? Definitely in the ad agencies, because you get to do a lot of different kinds of companies to market for.
Not to be rude, but what's the point of bacteria killing?
That's not rude at all. What's the point of bacteria killing paint? Some people get very affected and have issues with. It can be very. They get very sick from certain kinds of bacteria. So in certain healthcare kind of places, like a hospital or a doctor's office, it's really important to be able to help them kill that. Kyle.
What was your first job?
My first job was my first job was in an advertising agency where we worked on a bunch of different. When you work for an ad agency, I did that for 9 years. There's a lot of different stuff.
Good.
Thanks, you guys.
Good morning, TMS. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, TMS. Have a wonderful day.